Hello, guys. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about whatever the hell pops into our head. I am joined today here with
Justin Lewis, and I'm here with
Alex Boyd. And today we are going to talk on something that probably is on a lot of people's mind, or at the very least has crossed your mind a few times. What do you think's more important, Justin? Hard work or talent?
You know, I know a lot of people are going to say people who work hard are a lot better off, but honestly, I think talent goes a lot farther, in my opinion.
Why would you say that?
Okay, so you see, you can be a hard worker, and you can strive to be the best you can be, but there's always going to be someone who just has that raw talent and who is able to just have it and just be able to do it better than you. You can work as hard as you want, but at the end of the day, there's always someone who's more talented, more better than you. And I think that goes a lot farther, because with Hollywood, lots of the people, they're just handed roles because they're talented. They have a following, stuff like that. And I think stuff like that, it goes a bit farther than working hard, because hard workers don't get as much in life. I mean, they do. I don't know. I think talent just gets farther. But I
talent on its own, I disagree, would get you much further, because I guarantee you those people who are talented, well, they have the talent, yes, but the only reason why they're able to do what they do is because they had to be able to work hard. Because you can have as much talent as you want. You can be naturally gifted. I've done that with a lot of stuff myself, where things are really easy for me to pick up and learn, and then I kind of drop it out of boredom and I don't want to do it anymore, and then I go nowhere with it, even though I could have, someone could take a look at my stuff and say, oh, this stuff is great, you should go and pursue that. And then I just decide not to pursue it, or I run into a tiny roadblock and I stop pursuing it. And then all that talent goes to waste, rather than being someone who would persistently try to move forward and keep at it, even if they aren't necessarily good. And the biggest thing with hard work, too, is that you do anything repeatedly enough, you will get better at it. And if you're starting to not get better at it, I think it's less about hitting an actual ceiling to your skill, right? Usually it's just a lot of people will have a hard time determining what it is that they're doing wrong in order to keep moving forward. And I feel like that's more so what holds people who are just do hard working more, instead of having raw talent. It's just figuring out what that one thing is that they might be doing wrong, or what they need to improve on. That's usually what it is.
Okay, so yeah, so I can understand your position to a fault. I agree that raw talent on its own is not going to get you far. You have to work at some degree. However, I think that hard work in itself, at what point does hard work become working too hard? At what point do you start become overbearing on yourself? What point do you start does the hard work become too much for you to handle? Because working, for example, I was a baseball player. I really enjoyed playing baseball, right? And I was never physically talented, right? There were many other people who were a lot more physically talented, who were much better at the game than I was. And I worked hard. I wanted to be really good. I wanted to be a good baseball player, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't what I was good at, because I wasn't talented enough to actually be able to keep playing the game, because eventually it passed me up, and eventually the hard work became too much and said, you know what? I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not good at this. This isn't what I'm going to do in life. And so I eventually said, I can't do this anymore. And so,
well, even then, is it necessarily that, were you trying to be the star player, or because everyone on a team, there can be the people who are always in the background doing things that are still relevant to the game, and not necessarily okay, you don't have to be the designated hitter getting all the home runs and all of this stuff. You still technically could have pursued a career in baseball. Maybe a bit more of a backseat, a little bit less glamorous, but I don't think it would have been impossible, And even then, a lot of your experience and stuff like that, a lot of times players who haven't played as well, you could still be a coach for someone who could see that is talented. And then all of your hard work wouldn't go to waste, because then you could apply that knowledge, all that experience, to someone who you could see that would be, who could maybe have more potential, and then get them there. So even in that case, all that hard work doesn't have to go to waste. Whereas someone who's talented, they did baseball for a couple of weeks, seemed to be really good at it, then just dropped it because they weren't persistent about it. What's that going to get them,
See, okay, like, yeah, I understand that. I think you're on the basis that like when talented people do something for a little bit and then they say, okay, we're done because because it's not fun anymore, which I can understand. I can understand the boredom. Like
we're arguing raw talent versus hard work, so
Okay.
we're excluding the talented person from having hard work. I'm saying the talented people who get where they are, it is because they work hard. It is not just because of the talent alone.
So you're saying that the argument is hard work versus just raw talent alone. No work, no hard work, no nothing, no striving for anything. Just talent alone gets them to where they are. Because if that's the case, then there is no argument because the work aspect comes regardless. It's just how hard it's just working harder versus working smarter in a way.
Well, I'd say you can even argue that like working smarter in a different sense is the same thing as being able to put in hours and work hard. Typically, all right, again, that would depend on that definition.
I mean, I will say that a good amount of like no matter what, whether it's talent or striving, like you have to work hard to some level of degree. I think that in a sense you have to want to do something. So I could see your point of needing to work hard. I could also say that like you need like if you want to be like really good at something, you have to have maybe a bit of both in a sense. You have to have like have to work hard and actually want it while also having some level of talent in what you do. Because if you only have one without the other, I think that you're just not going to get very far. You could work hard but have no talent, and that's not going to get you much. But if you have pure talent but you don't want to work, you're not going to get far either.
Yeah. And sadly, with a lot of things in life, a lot of the times the answer is you need both things.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not divisive enough. That's not what our viewers
Exactly.
want. They want exactly one thing only.
I know.
And will that ever get answered? We may never know. And we're a little bit out of time. We've gone over. So maybe next time we'll answer another question and argue over, what is the topic?
Random bullshit. I'm Justin Lewis.
I'm Alex Boyd.
It's been fun.
See you
Goodbye.
later.